there, Beer to Whiskey crew. Welcome to this episode of Beer to Whiskey. In our ongoing efforts to spread the gospel of good taste, today we find ourselves in Boca Raton, Florida. We're at Crazy Uncle Mike's Brewery. We've been here before. We did a little brewery episode, and now we are doing a little something on whiskey. And
never realized how warm the water on the roof sounded when it was quiet in here.
I know this is it
sounds like applause.
It's one of those rare summer rains.
Mother Nature is applauding us
here in South Florida. And I want to introduce here to my immediate right is a good buddy of mine from years and years and years, Michael Bongo Hahn.
2, maybe 3 years of drinking together.
Yes.
Or 32 years, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's in bourbon years, so it's hard to count that. And then, of course, our very special guest, the owner of Crazy Uncle Mike's, Mike Goodwin. And I want to thank you for the invite.
It's good to have you here, Russ.
I just need to do a little shout out to my buddy Bongo here. He got back from Las Vegas at about 11:30 p.m. Yesterday. Actually got up and went to work today, and then came over here to help me out with this. So kudos.
My pleasure.
Thanks for doing such a tough job for your friends.
Well, you know, when you're sipping bourbon.
Sipping a little high.
Not for everybody.
Whiskey pig.
Yeah, so we have just a little something that Mike threw an ice cube into for us that we're going to kind of sip here while we talk about things. But I kind of wanted to do a whiskey tasting here and featuring, because these guys are a craft brewery. Well, they're sort of really a restaurant, and they have a craft brewery that makes their beer. But they've also got a selection of bourbon that rivals, huge, big whiskey bars. And we've just stuck a few of them here on the table just so you can see them. We're going to taste 3 or 4 of them. We're doing one now. We're going to do at least another 3. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what the bourbon selection was like here. And it looks a little bit like an advertisement for Buffalo Trace here with the E.H. Taylor, and we've got Eagle Rare over there, and Weller Antique. But anybody who knows a little bit about bourbons realizes that Buffalo Trace is putting out some of the best stuff and has various labels on it. Mike, what was your thought process when you decided to stock so many different whiskeys in here? Because you've got bourbons, you've got a bunch of ryes, you've got some scotch. What was your thinking?
You know, being that we were a brewery with a full liquor license, and you know, we just looked at things that we enjoy and the trends and the old-fashioned trends that are going on right now and the craft cocktails. And you know, although there's a lot of good craft cocktails made with vodkas and with gins and with rums and others, it really seems like the heaviest focus or emphasis has been on the bourbons. And since that spoke my language and I enjoy them, I decided that we would showcase a lot of bourbons when we got going, because I felt like people like myself, I don't drink a lot, but I want to drink really good when I drink, and I want something different, you know. So I love sampling, I love trying new bourbons and new whiskeys. The ryes and some of the others are, you know, not necessarily up the avenue that I like traveling, but I taste them to see, you know, and enjoy, you know, learning about the product, how they're made, who's making them, where they're coming from. Like you had mentioned, a lot of these are coming from one particular manufacturer, but there's hundreds of great manufacturers out there, and I'm having fun learning more and more every day, and it seems like there's going to be plenty of years ahead of enjoyment of learning about it.
I have to tell you, we're excited to take that journey with you.
Great. This will be fun.
Do you actually curate your collection, or do you have somebody else who does most of the bourbon shopping? And
we originally started with our brewer. He's a spirit guy. He's a mixologist. I mean, he's not even a mixologist. He's a scientist, and his name's Corey Wilson, and he had a great knowledge of bourbons as well. And so I started off with Corey and I kind of building the business and designing the bar area and designing our layout, and he and I kind of leaned on the bourbon direction versus going heavier tequilas or heavier on the vodkas. And that was through our discussion of what we said earlier. Now it's a gentleman named Eric Haas. Eric's our manager, our bartender, a aficionado and also a lover of bourbons. So he's taken over that role. He's actually added a bunch to our menu since he's taken over that role, and we're really enjoying learning more and more about different ones. And we didn't have one down here, but he's a Marine and he loves a horse soldier. And there's a great storyline with it. And the three guys that were ex military started that and are distilling it themselves. And so he was taken to it, and then he noticed there was a typo on the bottle, so he notified the company, and the company sent him a case of the booze for taking
That's
him
the way
and
it should
changing the
work,
bottle.
man. That's absolutely the way things work.
That's great.
I mean, that's the coolness of the boutiqueness of some of these products. Is
Yep.
it's literally, you end up meeting the three guys that are making the product and
Yeah.
hear their story about where it's from. And it's fun, and I'm glad that you're here today, so I get to taste some of the ones I haven't necessarily sipped on yet.
I know you guys are growing it, and you're getting some things that are hard to find, like E.H. Taylor, and like even Eagle Rare's gotten a little tough
Right.
to get your hands
We
on.
have a lot that they'll give us because of what we're doing. We're buying full rows. I mean, if you're looking at which one is it? The Mitcheners. We have 8 different styles of their product
Right,
on our wall. We're trying to carry full line, so then that way we get the specialty bottles, we get the rares, and we get a lot of things offered to us that other places won't get just because we're going deeper.
Right.
Which is real nice.
Right. These guys are open. They've got people at the bar. They've got people sitting.
It's a working business.
Yeah, sitting at tables. They're actually generating a little cash right now to make it possible for me to drink some free bourbon. So I'm all for it. If things get a little rowdy, just bear with us. So we've got 3 things that I know for sure that we're going to taste. And the first one, the Widow Jane bourbon, you guys are using some of their barrels to do some beer in, right?
We do. We have 2 of their barrels filled right now with a double imperial Russian stout, about a 10.5% alcohol. It'll be poured for the first time on October 2nd for our anniversary party. So we're going to introduce that beer then. Then we have Sagamore Rye, which is another bottle we have here that we'll taste. And Sagamore is in the same beer and in 3 of their barrels. So we've got a lot of aged beers coming up. It's going to be really nice to have on our, we can use them for specialty parties
Sure.
and things like that. So we're going to do another one. In fact, it's already in the kettle right now that he made, and it's a lighter color, but a really high octane imperial as well. And but it's going to be a blonde imperial instead of a stout. And we're going to use that blonde imperial in our wine barrels, and we're going to get that. And some of our wine barrels are rosé and some cabernet, and then white. So we're going to get 3 different styles of beer off of the same beer.
That's great.
And I'm really excited about them.
How easy is it to jump from, hey, we need 3 cases of your stuff to, oh, and by the way, do you have any empty barrels that we can have?
Difficult, as we found out. So getting the ones that we have from overseas, man, that's not going to happen anymore because of the shipping cost and the tariffs on everything. So the local ones like Hillbilly Bourbon, we don't have it out here today, but they're bringing us some barrels. They're a United States brewer as well. They came from another brewery that was big name, and these guys started their own thing called Hillbilly, and it's awesome. It's really, really good. They have 3 or 4 different styles that they've produced, but because they're able to give us bourbon barrels, it was an easier choice for me to say, we're going to put you on our, and give you a placement. I want to laugh at myself because I told you I didn't really like rye. I poured us a rye, and I like it a lot. It's a 6-year-old only, but it's the Whistle Pig. So I figured since we're drinking this, we should at least mention it and tell them that this is what we've been sipping on.
And
Whistle
Whistle
rye, I like that one.
Whistle Pig is a Vermont distilled. Well, I say distilled. I know it's bottled in Vermont. I don't know if that's one of those MGP things or not.
That's not gunshot.
No.
That's God.
That's,
Yeah.
It's our impending tropical storm, I
Yes,
think.
Yeah.
Mother Nature talking to us. Okay, which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with the Widow Jane.
I like that.
And
I'll tell you, if you smell those barrels right now, the beer that's in there, I mean, it's going to come out tasting like this. It's going to be so beautiful.
I'm excited. And, I don't know much about bourbon and the rules of bourbon. So what's the difference between a bourbon and a whiskey?
well,
Roughly.
the one with the most rules is bourbon. Basically, Scotch. I think the only rule of Scotch is it's got to be made in Scotland.
Okay.
And there may be something to do with proof and that sort of thing. But that's one reason why.
And I'm assuming they have their own set of rules over there for what Scotch is supposed to be.
Johnny Walker isn't made in Scotland.
Yeah, but it's not a pure Scotch. It's a blended
Blend.
Scotch. So, but your pure Scotches, your straight your craft Scotches and single malts are. I'm not real because I don't drink Scotch, but I think about the only rule they have to follow is it's got to be made in Scotland, which is why every Scotch tastes different. You can do almost anything you want to do. It's like rum. You can do almost anything you want to do with rum as long as it was distilled from some form of sugar.
Cane sugar, yeah.
And bourbon has some stricter rules in that it's got to be at least 51. Its mash bill's got to be at least 51% corn. It's got to be aged in new charred oak casks.
Okay.
New is key.
Sorry?
The new is key also in that
Yeah.
for the bourbon.
And it's got to be aged. Well, bourbon there is no real requirement for aging bourbon, but if it's aged, I think less than 4 years, that has to appear somewhere on the bottle.
Actually, yeah, I think that you're not allowed to call it an age until it's 4 years or something like that.
Right, you can't. But if it's, you'll see it aged at least 2 years, or they'll do that kind of thing. But so it doesn't matter, but you have to say,
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure.
I'm sure there's like a Google Doc that would tell you exactly those
we can look
rules
that
and
up.
exactly how it is. I know that I've read them before and I've learned them. I unfortunately enjoy drinking it more than I care about the rules.
well,
I feel the same. Well, I'm a novice, right? Literally, I started drinking bourbon only because of your bar. We would come in.
Well, thank you.
Well, but before I kind of even knew you, we were showing up for
Don't tell your insurance, please.
for Sunday brunch, and then we would continue because we were with a bunch of people and just continue into that late happy hour. And you guys started having old fashions on sale, so I was like, well, brand name liquor and an old fashioned, sure, I'm game. For $5 or $6, I'll take a shot at it, and I loved them. I thought they were fantastic. So now I just drink them whenever I'm out, and just had one at the Peppermill in Las Vegas last.
I saw that.
48 hours ago.
And your
Or less.
bartender made a good one.
She did a great job. She was wonderful. Fantastic time.
That's awesome. And I love that Peppermill. Where you were?
Oh, great place, man. Just an easy-going Sunday vibe, man.
Let's see what we got. Yeah, let's test this stuff. All right, so
Texas Miss Lily.
Which one's this one again?
Widow Jane.
Widow
Give it a
Jane.
smell. All right, so let's see if you can smell any of the characteristics. Oak barrels, okay? So it's a new American oak barrel, as we mentioned, right? And then they got some limestone mineral water that they do with it, and then it's just a blend of three different straight bourbons. It's 91 proof.
Oof.
And this was bottled in 2018 out of batch number 60.
And it is,
It smells great.
if I remember correctly, it is Kentucky. They're distilled in Kentucky, but nobody knows where for sure.
Man, that's good.
Yeah, it's,
As good bourbon should be.
But that's really, really good.
A hidden location.
I like that.
American
A
oak
lot.
barrels.
It's almost caramely.
So it's got a batch number, a bottle number, and a date.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Talking about your boutique.
Exactly. A 10-year-old signature bottle, hand assembled in Brooklyn.
there you go, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, Kentucky.
Tasting the richest, rarest straight bourbons, forever in 5-barrel bottle, 5-barrel batches.
Wow.
Small batch.
That
super
is small batch.
I like it.
I do too. I've never had it before. I've looked at it, thought about buying a bottle of it, but
It's got a little bit of bite to it, but it's not.
it's got a little heat. It's a little hot
Yeah.
on the
But
finish.
very light hot. I mean,
Yeah, but it's not, you know.
I would love to be sitting with a cigar
Yes.
and having a little bit of cigar with that right now. You guys didn't tell me I was supposed to wear my Hawaiian shirt today.
I should have worn my tiki shirt.
Yeah,
from-
man.
just to give Brandon some plug. I didn't even think about it. Sorry, buddy.
It's all right, Brandon. He loved your spots.
Man, we had a good time.
Hey, Laney, will you bring me a booze menu? A booze menu, please? A booze menu? Booze. Thank you. I want you to have a look at that so we can kind of talk about what we're charging for these things, too.
Today.
Well, I looked up. It's terrible getting older. I looked up both
Thank you.
Widow Jane and the Sagamore while we were waiting for Bongo to get here, and but I've kind of mixed them up and forgotten which is which in terms of what I remember about it. So
So the Widow Jane's about a $15 or $16
Okay.
per shot,
It's-
per ounce. Our most expensive is the Rip Van Winkle, the 10-year.
oh, I didn't even see that. You have that up
and
there?
we got Stag. Our Stag
Yeah.
Stag is also the same price, about $50 a shot.
Well, if I'd seen the 10-year-old Pappy, I would have added it to our bottles
little-
we're just showing off here.
That's just
But that's still a good one.
No, that's
like we used to joke about Silver Oak. You know, we bought all those $30 bottles back in the 80s. 90s rolled by and we're holding on to them, and then,
they're bad.
we need to start popping these. Let's just
yeah.
see what we got. And, I remember the night you brought one over to the house and we had steak dinner for something. I can't remember what it was. And still good. Still good. Still a good wine.
I remember buying a bottle of Silver Oak off of a shopping cart in a grocery store with wines that they were selling, and they had it marked, and this is back when you get it for 30 or 35 bucks, and they had it marked for $15. And I looked at the guy and I said, what do what's going on? He says, oh, we like to rotate our stock.
Get rid of that old wine. I'll take all of these.
Yeah. You only got one of these? Don't you have more you want to rotate? Oh my God, that was funny. Okay,
All right, on to the
What's
next.
next?
I think let's do the Eagle Rare.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey is what they claim this is.
And it's
And
distilled
it's a
at
10-year.
it's distilled at Buffalo Trace.
I don't want to
Either,
salt
it doesn't matter to me. We're going to drink it like we're drinking in somebody's backyard. We're going to use the same
Laying
glass.
face down,
Well,
roll them over, pour another one in.
smelling like the fishing that we were doing earlier today.
Eagle Rare.
Why did you pick this one to put out on the table?
Just because it's gotten a little tough to get,
Okay.
and it's Buffalo Trace, and it's just a really nice sipping bourbon.
How many labels are under Buffalo Trace, do we think?
I'll bet you there's 10 or 12.
Okay. I keep hearing Buffalo Trace, and then, then I hear that there are sub-labels underneath that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of them right there.
Okay.
The red bottle.
Yeah, this one
The
is.
Taylor is too.
And the Weller.
And it's just different processes and different formulas, different aging, different...
As I understand it, it's different when they're checking the barrels. That they find the best barrels, and those go to Pappy. And from then on, it's a matter of aging and where they're aged. It matters. They've got at Buffalo Trace, they've got, I don't know how many rick houses, but some of them are stone, some are brick, some are wood. That all matters. Whether they're aged on the top floor or the bottom floor, that
Isn't it
matters.
amazing
How
that all those little subtleties that I would never think of that,
yeah.
but evidently it does.
Yeah, so, and it's the same thing. Weller is, the better Wellers, the higher end Wellers, or it's the same thing. They take the best. Yeah, so it's a whole process.
I'm getting a lot of vanilla off of this. As far as I know,
It hits a lot hotter than the Widow Jane. It's I think it's got
yeah.
a lot hotter finish, that tongue.
Yeah, but it smells great. And
Oh,
it
it's
tastes
nice.
fantastic.
Can I
smell
see,
vanilla versus.
Can I
Yeah.
see the barrel?
And it's a whole nose full of vanilla.
Okay,
But it
it's
bites
the,
ya.
it's the normal.
You're expecting it to be,
Smoother.
yeah. Maybe that's the reason for the vanilla.
Yeah, they. For me, enjoyment-wise, I think the Whistle Pig and the
Whistle Pig was awesome.
and
That
the
was
Widow
fantastic.
Jane were both
Very good. They're all three good.
premier. Yeah, they flavor a profile better for my tastes.
And again, like we learned in in the '80s going through Napa, it's what you like. What you like may not be what I like. What I like may not be what you like. It's all up to whatever your palate.
Depending
is.
upon what you drink, what I like today, I might not like tomorrow.
Right. And
Especially in that wine world.
absolutely.
Take home a case from one of the wineries you at, your fourth winery, so you're already lit. You get home, and you open it up, and it's like, this isn't the same wine.
It doesn't even taste anything close to what we were drinking. How drunk were we?
Oh, yeah. Hence the Uber from winery to winery. Actually, last time I went to the wineries, they didn't have such a thing as Uber, so it's been a while.
Vanilla, caramel,
Yeah.
and a little bit of wood. That's what I get.
What was it, wood at the end? What causes the fire that gives you more burn in your mouth than smooth?
Two things. Number one is proof. And number two is having rye in the mash bill tends to make it spicier and put a little burn in it, where wheat smooths it out a little bit.
That is a 90 proof as well.
Okay. All right.
That
Well,
would make sense.
Right, rye seem to have a little bit more of that heat than.
well, they have to be 51% rye, that's
Right.
why. And normally, even in a highly rye bourbon, it's probably no more than 30. And usually it's more like 20 or 25.
Right, for the balance.
I'm learning so much today.
All right,
All right.
now we got one more.
Now we're going to go to the rye.
Saga or rye.
What I know about this is it's bottled in Maryland.
It's got a beautiful bottle.
And it's affiliated with Sagamore Farms, the thoroughbred horse farm. They actually don't distill there; they bottle it there and age it there. I guess it's actually an MGP, whatever the outfit is in Indiana that some people source their bourbon and rye from. That's where it's distilled. But these guys age it, and they also use some water that's out of the Sagamore spring there at the farms, which
83 proof.
yep.
So probably less bite just because of the proof, although then
The rye is going to
the
be a
rye
lot
is going to
bitier.
balance that out.
Well, that may just make it spicy. I've never really tasted this, so this will be interesting.
Let's taste. Let's see what we get here.
And I just want to mention that Captain Tim's in the house.
What's up, Captain Tim? You.
Gentlemen, what do you think?
Let's see. It smells good.
Yeah, it smells great.
This is what the beer smells like too when you go smell the beer.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, today I would say that ryes have changed my mind.
How so?
I like them more today than I usually do. The one that I thought was the hottest was the non-rye,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
So maybe that's proof related
This
for
is
you
83 proof versus 91 proof and 90 proof, respectively. So
with your biochemistry. Maybe it's the proof that's
maybe, but I like the 91 and the 83. and I didn't particularly love the 90 proof non-rye. So that's interesting to me.
So the nose on this for me is all wood. Basically what I get.
Yeah, I'm not getting the vanilla that I was getting out of the other
Yeah,
one.
I'm
And I was
basically
looking for it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a lighter.
basically
It's a
getting-
lighter everything though.
Everything's lighter. Yeah.
It just seems this one smells blended. It smells like a finished product. You know, it smells like there's nothing sticking out.
Yeah.
Right. It's not.
You know?
It's not perfumed up. It's not.
Right. It's just nice. Well, wish we could do 10 more.
Me too.
But since there's people walking in, doors are open, distractions are happening.
Baskets are coming. Oh, you do it? Is it a fundraiser today?
It's yeah, it's a fundraiser. Everything that they do
Of course, it's a fundraiser.
everything
We're
that
Crazy Uncle Mike's.
everything that they do for Boca Festival Days is a fundraiser.
I
We've
love
made
it
a
that you open your doors to stuff like this. I think it's fantastic.
We've done a lot of them. I just negotiated two more of them today, so we got two
So
more.
proud that you take
ones
such
with
good-
dogs, and ones with.
Who doesn't like dogs? That's an easy sell.
I agree.
Okay. Well,
So we've digressed over every moment.
But we
could.
also want to promote Mike's Place. I mean, that's another thing. Is that
Well,
he
we have
does-
talked about some good bourbon.
we have.
And we've talked about some other fun things too. So I'm sorry, Russ, that I commandeered your
No.
your bourbon blog.
No,
No,
we're
that's
here to
okay.
promote
This
you
was-
too,
no.
man. That's the whole idea.
This
A
was
shameless promotion for my business.
this was more about talking about what is thought of as a restaurant / craft beer, craft brewery. You know, what somebody who really is interested in curating some good bourbons can get on the shelf, and it's impressive. I would say, 25 bourbons and ryes, maybe. I'm thinking. You've got.
More than that.
Where's that list we just put down?
Count them
It's
up
a
for
lot
you.
more than that.
Yeah,
I
it's more
think.
than that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12,
Talk among yourselves at home.
20, 22,
I'm going to go with 55.
30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 36, 49.
49.
Bourbons alone.
Show the page
And
to
then
the
2,
camera.
49.
4, 6, 8, 10, 11 ryes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 scotches. So we're over 70.
Finding that many bourbons and ryes on the shelves
In any bar.
in any bar is absolutely amazing. That's the kind of thing you find when you go to Kentucky and you go into some place in Louisville or Lexington. You'll find 50, 60, 70 there. But I would almost bet you're going to look high and low in South Florida to find some place with that many bourbons and ryes.
Maybe a steakhouse.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, a good steakhouse
Maybe.
is going to have some really good bourbons.
But they're
But I
not,
think outside
they're not
of a
going to have your
steakhouse-
prices, I can tell you that.
No,
right
no,
now.
and outside of a steakhouse, I think that we probably carry one of the largest selections of this particular type of product, right?
What I am ready to do is to name Crazy Uncle Mike's the bourbon headquarters of the Gold Coast.
There we go.
I think that's fantastic.
I think that's a fairly safe.
And I challenge anyone to have Russ and I come in to prove us wrong.
Exactly.
I want to come to.
We
We'll
will.
bring Mike.
We'll accept that challenge.
All right.
We'll accept that challenge. With that, guys.
Salute, man.
Yeah. Great afternoon.
Thank you.
Text Miss Lily. Yeah, I always forget to do that. I'll do that. See you next time.
That was beautiful.